Thanks everyone again for joining me. It is 4th of July week, so I love highlighting great places in the United States, and I'm excited to connect with Veronica. So, welcome, Veronica.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, so you're an avid traveler. You have a blog, hipgrandmalife.com. But tell us about, we're going to talk about Michigan today. And that's my little
Yay.
background picture. Michigan in the fall to me is stunning. So,
It is. It is. It's one of the most beautiful.
so what's your connection to Michigan?
I am a lifelong Michigander. I have lived here from birth, so it's my backyard. It's
Oh,
home.
wonderful. So, what do you think makes Michigan a great place? Because I know it's a great place, but there's a lot there, and I don't think it gets kind of overlooked at times.
It does. We're in flyover country here in the Midwest, and it's easy to think of the glamorous destinations around the country, and Michigan just kind of gets forgotten. But gosh, we have some of the best lakes in the world because we have all of our Great Lakes. Michigan is the only state in the contiguous U.S. who borders four of the five Great Lakes. So that is really unique for us. And the Great Lakes, if you haven't been and seen them, they look more like an ocean than a lake. They're so large. We like to say in Michigan, they are unsalted and shark free. So swimming in a Michigan lake feels like you're swimming in an ocean, but it doesn't have the sharks and it doesn't have the salt. So we also have sand dunes. Oh, the list of things to see in Michigan is great. If you're a nature lover, you'll love it. If you're a science lover, you'll love it. If you're an art lover, you'll love it. There's things to do everywhere all around the state. So,
Yeah, I totally agree. And it is, if you haven't been to one of the Great Lakes, you can't, like Lake Superior, you can't see the other side. It's just massive.
no. Yeah, I took a trip last summer across Lake Michigan from Ludington to Manitowoc, Wisconsin, and on the SS Badger, which is a car ferry service that goes across Lake Michigan. And it takes over 4 hours to get across the lake. So that just gives you an idea of how large our lakes are. So, yeah. And the SS Badger is phenomenal. It's an excellent experience, family friendly. There's bingo on board. There's food. There's you can just sit out on the deck and enjoy the sun. I mean, there's so much to do. There's even a little movie theater on the ship, so it's like a mini cruise across the lake. So yeah,
Oh, that's cool. That is like a mini cruise.
it is. It's really cool. And I think it's one of the things that people just don't even know is up there. And I mean, I was heading to somewhere in Wisconsin and I could either go down, around, and through Detroit and back up to the other side of the lake, or I could go across. And that just seemed like a whole lot more fun. So across I went. And I think time wise, it probably took about the same as it would have had I driven. But I got to sit on the boat and just chill instead of driving. So that was really fun.
Yeah. Does the car ferry run every day then, as far as you know, or?
As far as I know, it runs every day. It goes straight from Ludington to Manitowoc and then back again. And the from Ludington to Manitowoc is like 8 or 9 in the morning, and then the afternoon shuttle comes back. So you could do there and back in a day if you wish. I spent a couple of nights and came back a couple of days later, but um, it every day it goes back and forth in the morning and then again in the afternoon. And less weather does play a factor. In fact, when I did my trip, we had some storms rise up, and so I had to extend my trip a day and come back a day later. If or of course, because I had my car, I could drive around, but I didn't want to miss my trip back. So
No.
on
Yeah.
the ship, so I stayed an extra day. Darn.
That sounds like a
So
cool
yeah,
adventure and something unique yeah, you're not gonna, where else are you gonna get to do that?
yeah, it's unique.
So,
Exactly. Where else do you get to go for that? It was very unique. So.
yeah, are there particular festivals or events that happen in Michigan that people might want to take note of?
Yes, we have my favorite. I'm from the Holland, Michigan area, which for those that are watching, we have to do the Michigan hand thing. Holland is on the west side over here. And Holland was settled by the Dutch in 18, gosh, I can't remember the date, but um, the Tulip Time Festival is world famous. And we have millions and millions of tulips and hundreds of thousands of visitors that come every spring. It's the first full week in May each year. In 2024, I'm trying to remember the dates, like May 4 to 12, I think it's the first full week in May. So it
Okay.
never starts like in April and ends in May. It goes from Saturday to Saturday.
Oh,
So May
cool.
4 to 12, I think. And you'll get Dutch culture and you'll see bajillions of tulips. And we have clogging wooden shoe Dutch dancers that dance in the streets wearing their wooden shoes. So lots of Dutch culture. Of course, there's the Lilac Festival in Mackinac on Mackinac Island, which takes place in June each year, and the whole island just smells of lilacs. It's gorgeous. We have, gosh, I'm trying to think, the Cherry Festival in Traverse City. That is a very popular festival, and cherries everywhere, every which way. Sweet black cherries are the thing up
Oh,
there. And then we
wow.
have there's festivals everywhere. Grand Haven, which is just north of Holland, has the Michigan Coast Guard Festival, and they have the musical fountain up there that lights up their fountain, and it plays, and the water dances to the tune of the music or to the beat of the music. That's really popular. And then, of course, Grand Rapids, one of our bigger cities, we have the Michigan Beer and Wine Festival every September. Um, there's, yeah, I could give you a list 20 festivals long. We have so many, and many cultural, many nature oriented. I mean, just so much.
Yeah, I mean it is, and it's a big state, so I mean there are a lot of different areas to Michigan too. Just like you mentioned with the hand, it's
Yeah.
so
Yes. Not to forget our Upper Peninsula, they come across the top. But the Mitten State looks so much like a mitten. Everybody in Michigan, it's totally a Michigan thing to hold your hand up and show where you're at. And whenever I travel, people just find that so funny. Like, anybody from Michigan always holds their hand up.
yeah,
But it's easy. It's what we do.
yeah.
So,
You wonder when that started. It probably started years and years ago to just like you said explain.
yeah, it just makes the most sense because we have the thumb and we are just shaped perfectly like a mitten. And then we have our UP, and there are some pieces of art and things that you can get that show like a second mitten up top, even though that's not shaped very mitten-like. I like to think of it more like a side view of the hand that comes up. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, it's just one of those cultural Michigan things that if you're from around here, it's just normal. It's just what we do in Michigan.
So, what are some of your favorite areas or places that people shouldn't miss? Because it's, I think it would be impossible to really cover Michigan maybe in one trip, just because there's such different personalities to Michigan.
Yeah, yeah, there's exactly. We have so many cultures represented and so many festivals and so many unique little pockets. What'd you say? What is some of the best areas? Is that
Yeah,
what you were
like
asking?
maybe some highlights from each of the areas that you want to share.
Okay, Southwest Michigan, I would say is wine territory. We have many, many, many small wineries. So if you love to taste and try out wines, this is the place to do it. We have a new service that just opened. I've been working with them, and on Mother's Day, I did a tour with them called the Bottle Run. And this is a service that will pick you up with five of your friends and take you to some of our Southwest Michigan wineries. So you can do a wine tastings, and then they get you lunch and they drive you all around. So there's no concern about drinking wine and driving. That's fantastic and not to be missed in Southwest Michigan. When you get up to kind of this area, the northern, northwest, lower peninsula, I would say that's kind of Traverse City area. Petoskey, beautiful beach. Ludington is kind of right up in that way. Just so many beaches, the Sleeping Bear Dunes. So spend some time along the lakeshore up there. Silver Lake State Park is somewhere between south and north. It's kind of mid range, a little closer to the north, and you will not find dunes like this anywhere. In fact, I think we have the largest dunes east of, oh gosh, or west of, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm going to get it all wrong, but
No, it's okay.
trust me, giant dunes, you can't miss them. You can go dune riding on dune buggies. It's amazing. We have it's called Silver Lake State Park. It's one of the 108 state parks in Michigan. And Mac Woods Dune Rides, you can pay to ride in an open air dune buggy and go up and down these huge hills. It's amazing. And then the state park has an area where you can bring your own dune buggy and
Oh.
ride all over. There's a lake there, so you can sit by the beach, you can climb the dunes, you can slide down the dunes. I will say, climbing the dunes is not for the faint of heart. You have to be in slightly decent shape in order to get up and down the dunes, because that sand just shifts under your feet. But if you can get up, you can slide back down.
Okay.
So it's great. So that's not to be missed. Then when you get over to the the southeastern part of the state, there is, we have Alpena and some little areas up there that have dark sky parks, and yes, great for
Oh,
photography or for just
wow.
stargazing, looking at, you can see the Milky Way.
Yeah.
Also, the whole upper portion of Michigan has really rocky beaches where you can find fossils and Petoskey stones. Do you know what a Petoskey stone is?
No, explain that. I've heard of them because I've been to Upper Michigan, but I don't.
Yeah, it's the Michigan State Rock, and if you look up Petoskey, it's Petoskey. We have the town of Petoskey is on the northwest part of Michigan, but Petoskey stones are found all in that upper region, and they are fossils of kinds of corals that existed millions of years ago and have turned into these rough stones. And when you shine them up, they have beautiful little hexagonal. Oh, there you go. You
Yeah, I
got
was
it.
gonna try to share
Beautiful.
it. Yeah, because it is
Perfect.
so
That's
cool.
perfect. And so that's not what they look like when you find them rough. They're a little bit more bumpy. This one has been shined up and is beautiful, but any gift shop in the north part of Michigan will sell you one that looks just like that. Or if you
Wow.
want to hunt and find your own and shine them on your own, you can do that. In fact, I was just up there a couple weeks ago with my adult daughter, and we went to the Rockport Quarry, which is just north of Alpena. And you can there's thousands of them just there. You can just dig them up and carry them home and do your thing. So that's amazing.
So what did you say again?
Also,
They look like on the outside, or they're just kind of plain, or
they you can see that pattern,
yeah.
but it's not shiny.
Oh,
So
it'd be
they're a
really
little,
faint.
yes, it would be faint and much bumpier.
Hmm.
If I think if while you're searching, April, if you want to try to search for a raw Petoskey stone, you could probably
Yeah.
find a picture. And if you're in that area, anybody up there will be able to tell you this is what one looks like. There's a museum, the Besser Museum is up near Alpena, and they have worked together with local quarry providers, and they have an actual space right at the museum where you can take the kids. You don't have to traverse through any wild territory or anything, just right there at the museum. And you can dig for fossils and Petoskey stones there. And they have educational placards out by this digging area that show you what you're looking for. So if you've never done it and you're interested in going there, check out the Besser Museum, Besser, in Alpena. And that's a great place to start and kind of get an idea of what the fossils look like that you
Oh,
might want to find.
wow. Yeah.
And it's not just Petoskey stones. There's all different kinds, and they're so cool. here's my adult daughter and I'm in my 50s. She's almost 30. We're out digging through this thing, squealing like small children. Oh, look, I found one.
Right, right.
So they actually had to come and tell us that the museum closed and we needed to leave.
Oh, did they?
We were having so much fun. So then we made our way up towards Rockport, where that's much more. You park and you walk for maybe a half mile or so, and this quarry just goes as far as the eye can see. So we had to do that.
Well,
So
yeah, you had to go there.
yes. Okay, and then so southeast Michigan is kind of Detroit area. When you make your way down the side of that state, the east side of the state, Tawas Point is a really interesting little area that has, in the late summer, early fall, there is a migration point for the monarch butterflies
Oh,
that
really?
come, yes, from Canada. They make their way down to Mexico. We tried last year to catch the butterfly migration, but they're only there for a couple of days. And because their nature, they don't come according to schedule.
Right.
And for us, it's a 4 hour drive over there. So we just kind of did our best to hypothesize when they might be there. And we drove and we missed them by about 2 days. So
Oh,
there were a few butterflies lingering, but if you can catch it during the migration, you'll see thousands upon thousands of monarch butterflies in the trees and in the area. And that is best viewed at Tawas Point State Park. And they have the Tawas Point Lighthouse there. There's lots of things to see and do besides the butterflies.
right,
But
right.
if you're a butterfly follower, and I don't know if you know this, April, but the monarch butterflies are on the endangered species list now,
Yes,
just as of about a year ago.
yes.
And I have heard, I don't know how accurate this is, but I've heard that they are moving down that list to the next more drastic. I
Yes,
don't know
I
what
have
the
heard that.
category is, but not only endangered, but yeah, it's getting worse, not better. So, um, you know, if you get a chance to see that, that's phenomenal. Of course, we all need to be doing the things that we need to do to preserve the butterflies. We don't want them to go away. But that's, I wonder, as this population gets less prolific, if it will be harder and harder to see that. So
Yeah,
that's
I
my little
agree.
public service announcement for the day.
Well, no, no, and nature is, it's like you said, it's going to do what it does, but if we can do our part to protect butterflies and birds, because the other thing is the
Oh, yeah.
songbirds. You hear about,
Mm,
I saw something the other day how the songbirds are just disappearing from the
yeah,
Midwest, the fields, the ditches, when we mow them, it
yeah,
doesn't provide places for them. So,
exactly. And one small thing that we can do, and this is controversial, but I feel very strongly about this. If you have pet cats, keep your cats inside, because cats, by nature, songbirds are one of their natural prey.
yes.
And so if you have cats and you let your cats outdoors, it's not because cats are bad. I have two cats. I adore my cats. We live out in the country. We have bird feeders, and our home has a monarch way station. So, I mean, we do our best, but we have other neighbors out in the country who let the cats roam. And we have had to chase cats out of the yard because they stalk our bird feeders.
Oh,
So
yes.
this is actually truly contributing to the the numbers of songbirds depleting. And so I know it's controversial. If you have a cat that's an outside cat, I'm not here to vilify anyone. I'm just saying, if you have a choice and you can make that choice, the better choice for the songbirds and really the safety of your pet cat is to keep your cat inside. So there, public service announcement
There,
number
yes,
2.
exactly. Because we love our songbirds. I mean,
We
and I
do.
and just being able to sit outside, it's something I miss because I grew up in the Midwest, is being able to sit outside and you just hear the birds. And lately I'm just not,
Mhm.
even when I visit, hearing the sounds of the birds as often.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sad shame, but yeah, we do. I mean, do what you can do. And if you can feed them and make appropriate habitat and keep them safe, if everybody just makes one small effort, we know how quickly that can make a change across the world. So,
And this state park that you mentioned where the butterflies are, it looks like it's near water. It's really pretty, this picture I found.
yes, Tawas State Park is right on Lake Huron. So it's the other side of Michigan, kind of more above the thumb area on the side of Michigan. So, yes, Lake Huron is gorgeous. And while we're talking about Lake Huron is on the east side of the state, Lake Michigan on the west. So, if you want to see a sunset, you go to West Michigan and you can see the sun setting over Lake Michigan. If you want to watch a sunrise over the lake, you go to the east side, which is Lake Huron area. And so if you're a photographer and you want to hit sunrise and sunset, you can make it across the state and see the sunrise over here and set over Michigan. It's really slick. And then, of course, we don't want to forget our Upper Peninsula. Upper Peninsula is amazingly gorgeous. We have up by the Keweenaw Peninsula, which is that little piece that sticks out across the top. We have a brand new dark sky park up in that area. So
Oh,
another
wow.
great place. You can see the Northern Lights. Of course, the Northern Lights are not on schedule, but when they appear, Northern Michigan is one of the best places. There was copper mining in the 1800s in that Keweenaw area. So you can dig through some old copper pilings and copper mining and get pieces of copper. And
Oh,
there's a lot
wow.
of history there. The UP, of course, we have Mackinac Bridge that goes from the lower peninsula to the upper peninsula, which is, if you haven't seen it, it is
Oh, it's
oh gosh,
beautiful.
it's amazing. It's a modern marvel. It is, I'm peeking at some of my notes here to see.
And go
I
back
want
to
to,
the aurora for a minute, the northern lights. Were you able to see them this like March? I was hearing that people in Michigan were seeing them. There was some really amazing
yes,
skies.
there have been amazing skies. This spring was just phenomenal. I didn't get up there at that time, which is really sad because it's on my list of things to photograph. I'm absolutely in love with the Northern Lights, but I have not yet seen them. I see the
Oh.
photos. But yes, I was hoping this summer to get up to the Keweenaw area, and that just didn't pan out this year. But hopefully in the maybe next year I'll be able to get up there, but we'll see. But
Yeah, put
yes,
it
the
on your
north.
list because I actually just saw an article the other day where we're at the end of this epic, like 11-year cycle. So the solar
Oh,
activity is supposed to be really intense. In fact, I guess the other night they were, certain areas, because right now with summer, you get that kind
uh-huh.
of long, you get so many hours of daylight. So your hours of quote darkness are very few, but they're already seeing like lots of solar activity. So fall and winter could be really amazing again.
I need to make that happen. I
I know,
really
I
need to
know,
make
but
that happen.
like you said, it's hard to plan because like you say with nature. I mean, it might be cloudy, it might be overcast. It's not like you said, it's not
Right.
on cue. It's not like I just go outside and they're
Right.
there.
You can't just look up the schedule and see. And I will say right now here where I'm in lower kind of western Michigan, but we're getting all of the smoke that's
Oh,
coming from the Canada wildfires and some in New York as well, I guess. And so we're seeing smoke and air quality warnings. They've been canceling some outdoor events just because the air
oh
quality is.
wow.
So I would say right now, if you're going to get in your car right this minute and drive, you're probably not going to get great night sky viewing or great northern lights, even if they're in existence, because the
The
sky has been so
smoke.
hazy.
Yeah.
So it's really sad. And of course, our thoughts and prayers go out to all the people that are dealing with that, like right in that are in the thick of it. We're getting the excess, which is its own difficulty, but it's certainly not in comparison to what the people that are right in the middle of it are dealing with. But yeah, that northern site, and hopefully we'll get that under control. And by spring or even this fall, yet we'll still be able to get an opportunity to see. Um, the Mackinac Bridge, which you have pictured right
Yes,
there,
it's
is
gorgeous.
phenomenal. And again, I'm trying to find in my notes. I can't seem to find my notes and talk at the same time.
That's all
Um,
right. Now I can't remember if you can drive over the Mackinac Bridge, but because you can't go to the island per se because it's a car-free island. So there's kind of a difference, right?
Yes, Mackinac Bridge, it connects the lower peninsula to the upper peninsula. And it divides the Lake Huron from Lake Michigan. It's kind of the dividing point. So where you see in the picture, you're seeing Lake Huron. On the other side of the bridge is Lake Michigan. That's where they connect. Mackinac Island from this picture is off to your right and
Okay.
is a unique island. And this year in 2023, they're celebrating 125 years of their automobile ban on the island.
Oh,
There are no cars. Everything on the island is handled by bicycle or horse. So if you love the sound of horses clip clopping, you have got to go to Mackinac Island. If you can't make the Lilac Festival in June, all summer long, it's stunning. It's beautiful. Their Mackinac Island State Park has trails. You can hike and just enjoy nature and outdoors. It's very protected. So there's no camping on the island, but you can stay on the island in bed and breakfast and hotels that are all around. Of course, the Grand Hotel is this magnificent hotel on the island that is very pricey, very, very extravagant, um, beautiful. You can see it as you take a ferry from either the lower peninsula or the upper peninsula, either Mackinac City, which is the tip of the lower peninsula, or St. Ignace, which is right on the other side of the bridge. And you can get to the island from either end. Um, as you take the ferry across, you can see the Grand Hotel just kind of comes to life.
oh wow.
Interesting factoid about Mackinac Island is Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour starred in the movie Somewhere in Time that I believe was filmed in 1980 or 1982. One of those dates. I can't remember exactly. But anyway, um, that movie was filmed on the island.
Oh
So
wow.
when you're on the island, you can get a copy of the movie. There's a gazebo that was used during the filming. So that's just kind of a fun little side note. Mackinac Island has Fort Michilimackinac, or excuse me, Fort Mackinac is on the island. Fort Michilimackinac is in Mackinac City. Lots of history there about colonial times in the area. The island itself, if you go onto the island, you definitely want to take a horse-drawn carriage tour, which will take you all around. The drivers speak into a little mic so you can hear what they're saying, and they will tell you all about the history of the island and the nature, and you get kind of a view, kind of a snapshot view of what you'll see on the island. If you want to explore on your own, you may bring your own bicycle, or you may rent one of 8 bajillion bicycles that are for rent. And you can tour around the island that way. There are people that live there all year round,
Oh, I was just gonna
but
ask. Yeah, like in winter, because do they stop the? Because I heard they literally have to take the horses off the island too.
they do. They take the horses off island and they stay on somewhere in Michigan at a farm or many farms. I can't remember how many horses are on the island, but hundreds. So they take them all off. And then in the winter, there is no tourism. It's just shuts down. But the locals have an ice bridge that forms around February, and they can use snowmobiles to get from the island to the mainland, or they can fly, or they can take boat until the ice bridge freezes over. But there is a community and there's a schoolhouse, so there's
Oh my
families that live there, and there
gosh.
are people that live there all year round. It's really a unique community, and it's just so lovely to go in the summer. It's beautiful. The sights are beautiful. If you don't stay at the Grand Hotel, which is a little costly, you can stay at other hotels that are much more reasonably priced, but you can pay $10 to get inside of the Grand Hotel to tour. And you can
Oh.
even go, there's a little cupola at the top of the Grand Hotel where you can stop in and get a little hors d'oeuvre and a cocktail and look out and see. It's beautiful. It's just
Oh
beautiful.
wow.
So, and fudge. Mackinac Island is known for their fudge. So
That's
make sure you
exactly what
count on getting.
yeah, that's actually what I remember going there is walking down that street and it was just fudge shop,
Yep.
fudge shop, fudge shop. I'm like, Oh my gosh, they must make enough fudge for everyone in the state. Like,
They do, and you can watch them make the fudge. Some of the little shops, when you go in, they make it every day, all the time. So you can watch them put it together. Don't be frightened when you first get off the ferry boat. You're on that main like area where there's shops and restaurants and stores. But just 5 minutes outside of that area is nature and gorgeous scenery. And yeah, so when you first step off the ferry, it feels a little bit like, oh, commercial central, but
yes.
it really is gorgeous once you step outside of it. And of course, you want to tour the Fort Mackinac, which sits up on a bluff and overlooks town. And it's just so lovely. It's so lovely. Yeah, that's Arch Rock that
Yeah, I was trying to find
the
a.
Grand Hotel there is in the center. And then this is Arch Rock, which on your ferry tour or your horse-drawn carriage tour, they will let you off for just a few minutes and you can explore Arch Rock. To the right of that picture, there you can see a little like a rectangle sticking up just at the
Oh,
right.
yeah, yeah, I see it.
That is an area where you can walk out onto like a walking area and overlook the
Oh,
lake.
wow.
And so yeah, it's really beautiful. And there's some information there on how the rock formed and whatnot. So, and there's a restroom near Arch Rock. So
Oh, that's good.
if you
Yeah.
like me and you like to discover all the restrooms, you
Yes.
can find a restroom there. Mackinac Island also has a butterfly display. They have, I mean, there's so much. And they're closely related with the Boy Scouts and the Cub Scouts and Girl Scouts of Michigan. So they often will have the Cub Scouts there in the park. And another little fun factoid is you cannot have a fire anywhere on the island. Fires are prohibited.
Oh,
But
okay.
there is one small area in the state park where the Cub Scouts or the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts are allowed a fire pit. And they
Hmm.
take you by that when you're on the horse-drawn carriage tour. So that's kind of a fun little, they're the only people that are allowed. And when they have their little fire pit, there is a fire marshal present to make sure that it's safe. So
Oh,
that
wow.
island would just burn down so quickly if a fire got out of
Oh,
hand. So
yeah,
yeah,
it would. It would just be
yeah,
horrible. I can't even
yeah,
imagine. So, yeah, I can understand why they've banned the outdoor fires.
yeah.
But
No, no smoking. I believe in the city area, there's no smoking. So yeah, they're very cautious of that.
are there certain times of year that you would recommend going there? Because I'm sure there, weekends, it gets kind of crazy there.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy touristy in the summer. I would say during the weekday, if you can get there during the weekday rather than the weekend, that helps with some of the crowd. And early spring and late fall, when the season is just starting and just ending,
Oh,
is
yeah.
probably the least busy. Um, if you don't mind the crowd, you can go during June, which is the Lilac Festival, and it's so beautiful. You have to do it at least once. But if you're looking to avoid the crowded time, I would say May, and I don't know exactly what dates they open and close. You would want to check the website for that information, but I would say May or September are probably the best times to avoid the crowd and to avoid the super hot Michigan weather. Although because it's up north,
Yeah.
it doesn't get as hot as we get down here, but it definitely gets warm. So
Right, right. Oh yeah, it's a fabulous place to go. It sounds amazing. I mean, I've been like
it
once
is.
or twice, but they were just short, quick visits, and I really think you got to spend the night and stay over and
You do, yes. Spending the night is really unique because the last shuttle that leaves the island, I think, is like around 8 o'clock at night. And so after 8 o'clock, it's only the people that are staying on the island. So it gets much quieter and you can just hear the horses clapping around and you can find a little pub down on Main Street and it's far less busy and you can watch the sun rise and set on either side of the island. It's really,
oh,
really worth staying if you can make that happen.
yeah. Wow. All right, we have to talk about the food. We haven't talked about Michigan food. I'm sure there's
Whew,
some things that are like
whew.
must eat in Michigan.
We have food in Michigan that we do have. I would say, gosh, if you like Dutch cuisine, you hit Holland around tulip time or even all summer. We have a few restaurants that have Dutch food all summer long. De Boer Bakery and Restaurant is one of them, and the Wooden Shoe Restaurant. These are two that are both
Ooh,
in Holland that have Dutch food, which some of it I love and some of it I'm less enamored of.
right?
So that is purely a taste situation. Balkan Brie, which is kind of like the Dutch version of head cheese. It's made of like the scrapple, the scrappy pieces of the animal. Not my
No.
favorite, but there are locals that have eaten it their whole lives and are diehard. Of course, pigs in the blanket are very Dutch. So the sausage wrapped in a kind of a dough. For those that don't know what pigs in the blanket are, those are well known around our parts. If you like German food, we have Frankenmuth, which is across the state from us, but that is also called Little Bavaria. So German Bavarian culture over there. So German
Hmm.
food. Detroit has an area with Polish of Polish descent, so you can find little. I think it's called Little Poland.
Oh, huh.
Again, I'm looking at my notes here and
No,
trying to
that's
find, but
okay. Yeah.
um, so yeah, any of our big cities like Detroit, Grand Rapids, there you're going to find all the foods represented. We have a restaurant in downtown Grand Rapids called the 1913 Room, which is at the top of the Amway Grand Plaza Hotel, and that's a wonderful restaurant. That's a place you go, you dress, you plan to have several courses.
Oh,
It's an
wow.
experience, not a meal. So that's a great place. Um, Goodness.
I know. I'm trying to think what else is Michigan food. Well, beer, I'm sure for sure.
Yes, beer. We have, of course, Southwest Michigan is wine territory. We have beer. Even here in Holland, Michigan, we have many private, or not private, but small beer
Like breweries.
craft breweries and such. I can name all the Holland ones, but I'll just let you search and find. One of my favorites is New Holland Brewery in Holland area, and they craft their own. They have my husband's favorite beer there is the Poet,
Oh.
and there's two of them he mixes. He mixes the Poet and something else, and it's called the Dead Poet. And gosh, I can't remember the name of the other one, but if you go on to New Holland Brewing website, you'll find their beers, and they're amazing. And they make different flavors throughout the year. During COVID, the New Holland Brewing Company converted their distillery to a hand sanitizer. Yeah, there it is. Dragon's milk. You got it. Dragon's
Yeah.
milk is the favorite, and then Poet is the other. And when you mix them together, it makes something delicious called a dead poet.
Oh, okay.
I'm not as much a beer drinker, so but I trust his taste, and that's known in the area. But yeah, when they during COVID, they were producing hand sanitizer when everything was just shut down. And
Oh,
remember when hand
yes.
sanitizer was hard to get a hold of. So fantastic, fantastic in the community. They do a great job with supporting the needs of the community. So they're a favorite of mine. So if you're in Holland, you definitely got to stop there. New Holland Brewing Company.
Yeah.
And then, oh, food everywhere. There's food. Traverse City, of course, is known for its cherries. So cherry pie, cherry everything. So if you like cherries, that's the place to go for that.
Are there then like fall
I
like
eat it all. I eat it everywhere.
you mentioned Frankenmuth? Do they have like an Oktoberfest then?
They do. They do. I don't know the details of that offhand, but there is. You're quick with the search there. Frankenmuth
Oh, I didn't search
Oktoberfest.
it. I just figured being those little German towns and being that Michigan, it does have lots of little, these communities, these
Yes,
pockets of just,
I just pulled it up because I am learning from you, and I just pulled it up on my computer, and I can't share the screen, but it is
here,
in
okay.
October. It starts in, oh, where's the dates? Frankenmuth Oktoberfest,
Well, we can always,
September 14 to 17
oh, cool.
this year.
Well, there you go. An
Good food,
opportunity.
drinks, and souvenirs. Yeah, so definitely. And I have been to Frankenmuth. I have not been during the Oktoberfest, but Frankenmuth is amazing. They also have the world's largest Christmas store.
Oh,
So if you like Christmas, you need to stop in Frankenmuth for the world's largest Christmas store, where you can get every ornament you could ever possibly imagine. You can get at the Christmas store. It's called Bronner's
Bronner's?
Christmas
Okay.
Wonderland.
Oh, wow.
Bronners. And it's open all year round. So you don't have to be near Christmas. In fact, I did go near Christmas one year, and you kind of just move with the crowd through the
Oh, yeah,
store.
that's what
It's
I
very,
figured.
very busy. So I recommend coming a little bit before Christmas, maybe in the fall. So, but it's a really cool store, and it just goes and it goes and it goes and it
Oh
goes.
my
And
God.
any kind of Christmas store you can imagine, you can find.
It's like
And
Christmas overload, it sounds like.
yes, it is. It is, in fact, the world's largest Christmas store. So there you have it.
Oh my gosh. So what are some of your favorites in Michigan? I mean, it just sounds like there's more to do, like I said, than you can have weeks in the year to fill up.
You can come all seasons. In the winter, we have cross country skiing, we have some downhill skiing, but my favorite winter attraction, and I haven't done it, but maybe it's on my list of maybe, if you go to the UP, you can climb ice, like uh, frozen waterfalls. You
Yeah, I've
can
kind of heard
don the
about that.
appropriate ice gear. Yep, and climb. There's groups. There's a place in Munising, Michigan, which is in the Upper Peninsula, and they have a business called The Curtains, which is an you can climb it's an ice climbing wall. It's a perfect starter. It's a great way to get introduced to this extreme sport. So yeah, there's stuff all year round. Winter, of course, we have ice skating. The big lakes don't freeze enough for a lot of ice. I mean, there's ice fishing, ice skating, but a lot of our inland lakes have ample opportunities for that. In the fall, of course, we have all the color tours. The colors are just phenomenal all the way up through the state, the northern portion of the state. And there are color calendars each year that will kind of predict when the brightest colors are. And what you have behind you is a very lovely representation of our colors in the fall.
Yeah, I think
We
they're
also have covered
stunning.
bridges.
Oh, you do have covered bridges.
Um, we do. There is a something called tunnel of trees in Harbor Springs, which is a bit north, sort towards the center of the state, and that is a road. The tunnel of trees is a marked out route along the road where you can go, and the trees actually kind of come up over top of your car. So as you drive through that, you just get gorgeous views. And I believe it's along that route that we have I know one specific covered bridge that's just so picturesque
Oh,
that you
wow.
can drive along. And if you do that during the fall, know that it's not a highway that you're going to zoom through. You're going to leisurely follow with the traffic, but it's worth it to see the beautiful colors. It's just stunning. Um, some of my favorites in Michigan, in Grand Rapids, we have the Frederick Meyer Gardens, which is a
Ooh.
botanical garden, and it's amazing. Fred and Lena Meyer are well known in the area for their Meyer grocery stores, which is kind of across Michigan and I believe several other states in the upper Midwest. But they started the Frederick Meyer Gardens, and in the spring, in April through a portion of I think it starts in March and goes through April. Again, that we would have to double check those dates, but they have the Dorothy Fichter Butterflies Are Blooming display, which has thousands of tropical butterflies, and you can walk through this arboretum where the butterflies just fly
Oh,
everywhere. Sometimes
wow.
they land on you, and it's beautiful. And it's even entering the butterfly gardens, they have just the way to the butterfly gardens. There's so much education on plants, and there's a display for the monarchs. And so you'll learn as you go, and the butterflies are just everywhere in the garden. So that's one of my favorites each spring. I have a 15-year-old son. He's my youngest of five. But since he was born, that was something that every year he and I go do the butterfly gardens. I'm sure he's not quite as thrilled with it at 15 as he was at 3 and 4, but he still is a good sport and lets me drag him there.
Oh, that's
So
good. Yeah. Yeah, because
yeah,
seeing
so
the
that's
butterflies up close like that, I mean, how beautiful.
yes. And they have, I can't remember the name of it, but they have a beautiful large one that when its wings are closed, it's brown, but when they open, they're metallic blue. And they're just gorgeous. And they just flutter right on by you. They don't care what you're doing there. And you can see the life cycle of the butterfly is really well illustrated. It's very educational. And again, all ages. You'll see everyone from little tiny tots all the way up to, and there's benches. So if you need a rest and you want to sit, there's plenty of benches. You can just sit and take in the atmosphere. It's warm in the butterfly garden, so dress in layers because it's tropical. So you're coming
Oh,
from
yeah.
Michigan, chilly spring into hot tropical. So you definitely want some layers. But and then they have outdoor sculpture park. The Da Vinci's horse is there,
Oh,
which is,
wow.
gosh, I can't remember how tall he is, but if you look up Da Vinci's horse at the Meyer Gardens, you'll see he's so large that you can stand under his front hoof. He stands with 1 foot raised, and you can stand under that front hoof. It's amazing.
Oh,
And this was a
wow.
plan that Leonardo da Vinci had drawn up but never built. And so at some point he was built and is on display here at Frederick Meyer Gardens. They also have Japanese gardens. They have traveling artistic shows in and out all the time. So that is really, really a lovely place. And you could spend a day exploring the Meyer Gardens. Yeah,
Yeah,
there he is.
there's the horse. Yeah. Oh my gosh. He is
Yep.
huge.
Yes.
Wow, that is
He's
crazy.
huge. And
It's amazing
yes.
that they took his
So,
drawing then and made him, I mean, come to life like
yes.
that.
Yes. They also have a children's area of the gardens. So, I mean, it's family friendly. It's gorgeous. It's artistic. It's the Japanese garden, the botanical gardens, the butterfly gardens. They just do a great job. They also have an amphitheater. So there's music represented there. There's so much to see and do. And the Meyer family is just, they give back to the community in ways. Both Fred and Lena are gone now.
Okay.
Lena just passed, I believe, in 2021, but their children have carried on their legacy beautifully. So it's really a phenomenal place to stop. Of course, we've already covered Mackinac Island. In Grand Rapids, also the Ford Presidential Museum is amazing. And we have the Grand Rapids Public Museum, which it has a carousel. It's a rebuilt historical carousel. You can walk through the streets of early 1900s in Grand Rapids, which Grand Rapids
Oh,
was known in the furniture industry. They did a lot of woodwork and furniture. So Grand Rapids is a wonderful place to spend time. If you get over towards the east side of the state, Greenfield Village and Henry Ford Museum are fantastic places to explore some history.
oh wow.
Um, I'm thinking
That's okay.
Alpena. I have to talk about Alpena. I just came
Okay.
back from Alpena. Alpena is way up at the top of here, and they have the Maritime, the Michigan. Let me get this right. I'm gonna quick look it up.
Okay.
Maritime. I'm getting there.
That's all right.
The shipwreck, the Thunder Bay National Marine Sanctuary. And they have over 100 shipwrecks that have been in Lake Huron that have been identified, and they understand the story of how and why those shipwrecks happened. You can take a glass bottom boat tour, and it goes right out into Lake
Oh,
Huron, and the the glass windows are 5 foot below deck in the boat. So you can stand and look down at these windows, and they drive you right over the shipwrecks. So you can see the
oh,
shipwreck wreckage
wow.
right. Yeah, just like that. And so it's the Thunder Bay National Marine Sanctuary out of Alpena. And there's also the Thunder Bay, there's like a museum there where you can explore. There's 100 that they've identified, and they theorize that there's over 100 more out that they're still looking to identify and explain and whatnot. So if you
That's
like that kind of thing,
crazy.
it's
Wow.
amazing, and it's beautiful. And you can fish in that area, and you can snorkel or scuba dive around these shipwrecks. They even have an app in the museum that you can download, and I'm sure you can find it on their website as well, where if you're out, say you're out canoeing or
Mm-hmm.
kayaking around that area, the app will send you a push notification because they've outlined each of
Oh,
the shipwreck with signal, so that you know, hey, we're about to go over this shipwreck right now, and you can it will direct you right to the information. Or
oh,
if you take your
wow.
boat out and you want to scuba, it will help you identify. It's amazing. That area is so cool. That's the same area where I talked about fossil hunting at
Yes.
Rockport.
Yeah.
And then if you go up a little higher, as you're leaving Rockport and you're heading up toward Mackinac, there is a lighthouse called 40 Mile Point Lighthouse, which is one of the coolest lighthouses. I haven't seen all of them, but it's a really cool lighthouse in Michigan. Because what makes this one special is a shipwreck has come ashore. So you can actually walk down the beach. And if you go to my website, I just posted an article about my trip up to Alpena in that area. And there's pictures of that shipwreck up there that you can
Oh,
just
wow.
walk right in there and touch it and see it. And then they have it buoyed, a portion of that ship, the Fay, Fay, and a portion of it washed up, and the other portion is still lying out in the water. So you can see the buoys where it is. And so if you like shipwrecks, that area is not to be missed. The northeast part of the Lower Peninsula, for
Oh my
sure.
gosh. Wow. That's crazy. So, what is your website? Because you've got a ton of information about Michigan, and it sounds like you're always out adding more photos and
I am out and
tips.
about. Yes.
So, tell us.
Exploring. So, okay, I can I put a couple of things here. First of all, my website is hipgrandmalife.com.
Yeah, let me
And
pull it up
I've,
so we can see that.
yeah, you'll see my pink hair.
Well, I
Um,
love your pink hair. I think it's great.
Thank you. I tend to like it myself, but I get a lot of comments on my pink hair. People say, "Oh, you're so brave," and I say, "Not really. Anybody can have pink hair."
Yeah,
But hip grandma
exactly.
life, and I talk about travel. I also talk about life in the Middle Ages because I'm, well, not in the Middle Ages, but as a middle-aged woman. Let me correct
Right.
that. All the things that I say it's hip grandma life. It's not about the grandchildren. It's about the grandma and living the grandma life and travel and what happens to our brain and our body as we age and just navigating through this phase of life. And so that you'll find on my website. If you go on Facebook, if you're really interested in Michigan and specific Michigan travel, like we're talking about today, join Michigan Road Trips group.
Oh,
It's
nice.
very simple. I'm the admin over there. It is a friendly, kind only group populated by people in Michigan who, yep, there's my website. That's my
Yeah.
husband and my 15-year-old son. He's a little younger there, but that's the three of us. And I have four other kids that are grown. So
And you have some
he
books. So, what are the
I
books?
do. The first book that just published this spring, I was invited to collaborate with about 12 other authors, and it is called Midwest State Park Adventures. There it is. And we cover Ohio, Indiana, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan. Oh, I know I'm missing some. I'm sorry,
This
my
is
fellow authors.
awesome.
Illinois. But yes, we have all worked together. That picture of that lighthouse in the center top, that is one of my photographs.
Oh, nice.
That is Big Red. That's our local Holland lighthouse. Beautiful. She's beautiful. And so I wrote the Michigan section, which is covers 108 Michigan state parks,
Oh
all
my,
108. I've only specifically written about 15, but we have charts in that book that will show you all of the amenities available at all 108 state parks. So if you want to know if there's camping and there's hiking and there's pit toilets or plumbing toilets, you can go there and kind of see where you can kayak, all the things. So that is available on my website. It's also available on Amazon. And we debuted in the #1 spot for Midwest travel. So you can easily find it on Amazon. That's a great place. If you want a signed copy, go to the website and you can personally reach out to me and I will sign one and send it to you.
oh,
And then in
nice.
September, I have a book coming out called 100 Things to Do in Holland, Michigan Before You Die. And
Oh,
that is published through Reedy Press. And I'll be doing some signing and touring around the area. But that really hones in on my hometown. I like to call it a little love letter to my hometown. It talks
yes.
about all the things that you want to see and do in Holland, Michigan. So, and then we have another project coming next year. So stay tuned for 2024. I actually have two projects coming. One will be another in the Midwest series with my author friends, and another personal project that I'm not quite ready to announce, but
No, no,
it's
no,
coming.
no, you don't have to announce it, but this is fabulous. And what a great resource for state park adventures. Because I'm always telling people, especially as we're
Oh,
seeing this summer, the, 4 hour waits to get into Yosemite. I've had friends go
yeah,
to Yellowstone in the summer and it's just crazy. You can't get
yeah,
anywhere. I mean, explore the state parks, and the Midwest has
yes,
so many gems. So I love this. I think this is a great
yes.
resource that people should pick up.
Well, if you've never spent time in the state parks, what you may not, those who aren't necessarily outdoorsy people may not understand that, you think of, oh, it's a state park. So what? I can hike there and look at trees, woo. But there's so much more. I mean, we have a state park right outside of Detroit. It's a little island right off of Detroit. It doesn't get any citier than that. And that's amazing. Of course, we've already talked about Mackinac. That's a state park area. Tawas Point has the butterflies. That's a state park area. We have Sanilac State Park, which is home to petroglyphs, which are Native American markings that have been preserved. So, you can see the actual markings that were put into stone hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And so, I mean, there's so much more than just, yeah, I don't want to pitch a tent and just,
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
sit in the green. There's so much more to see and do at our state parks. And along the West Michigan side, we have Holland State Park, which is beach. If you love the beach, Holland State Park is amazing beach. Come spend the day, picnic, sit along the channel and watch the boats coming in and out of Great Lakes. I mean, there's so much. So, and I believe all of the state parks I just mentioned are all the ones that are featured and written about in this book, Michigan. And that's only one of the many states represented in the book. So, I mean, yes, we're talking about Michigan. I'm very proud of Michigan, and I did the writing for that. But my fellow authors are brilliant talent, and they all share the same enthusiasm for their states. So anywhere in the Midwest, you're not gonna be disappointed.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for sharing, Veronica. This has been fabulous. Just so much information
You're
about
welcome.
Michigan. So if you, her website again is hipgrammalife.com. I'll put that in the show notes, the book link. So,
Um,
wow.
the Michigan Road Trips group on Facebook,
Yes.
if you want to share that too.
Yes.
That we just started that group around Easter, so it's growing. It's a little bit small, but it's sister site to the Ohio Road Trips group.
Oh, okay.
So the admin for that group has almost 1 million people in it. And she reached out and asked if I wanted to kind of duplicate that here in Michigan because there's so many questions about Michigan. So whatever you find in that group, you're going to find local people that know their town much better than I do. That's where you're going to get the best answers. Where do you want to eat when you travel to whatever small town in Michigan? And the people there will tell you. So definitely look at that. And if you would put that link in, that'd be fantastic. So
Oh,
Hip
of
Grandma Life,
course.
Midwest State Park Adventure, Michigan road trips, and then of course, 100 Things to Do in Holland, Michigan Before You Die is coming. So, and I also have a photography site. I was a working photographer for years before I started traveling and blogging. So you can take a look at that at veronicajunphotography.com. That's another one
Oh,
of my sites as well. So I'm everywhere.
I love it, Veronica. Thank you so much. And we're going to have you back just when
You're
the
welcome,
Holland
April.
book debuts so that we can do a
I
little.
would love that. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, because I think Holland has a lot to offer, obviously, if you wrote a book about it. So, yeah.
Yeah, it does. We have everything and anything, beaches, nature, food, culture, festivals. We've got it all. Yep.
Thank you so much, Veronica. And for everyone out listening and watching, we hope you have a great summer and check out these resources to plan your Michigan trips. Take care.
Thank you. Bye bye.